Welcome back for a new collections video, and this time I thought I would share some of my strategy guide collection. Not a lot, it's only been more recent times I decided to start really collecting strategy guides. Now this right here, first one, is of course, as you see, Lord of the Rings Return of the King. I actually don't even own the game. I picked this up years back around the time Electronics Boutique was going to have business. And you see that price right there? That's the actual price. 1 penny. That's how much this strategy guide cost me. 1 cent. But I decided over the years just to keep it, just in case I ever ended up eventually collecting this game. Now, the next few you'll recognize a little bit better. Next up is the strategy guide to Pokemon Black and White. Now, this is only one of 2 strategy guides of Pokemon games I actually own. It's been actually a long time since I've played Black and White. Someday, eventually, I'd like to recollect the game. But I did keep a hold of this, even through the time I've had it. And the only other Pokemon strategy guide I have is for X and Y, which is really the first Pokemon game I played in a long time. I still have not played Sun and Moon. I'd actually like a comment. If anybody's played it, let me know if I need to check it out, and if so, which version. But on this, I chose Pokemon Y. But I actually really like this strategy guide. This one really stands out, of course, being a hardback, obviously, for one. And I just love the actual design of it. I hope you're enjoying the music in the background from Wind Waker. Next up, currently only have 3 strategy guides from The Legend of Zelda. Now, I actually have a 4th one on the way now. I won it a few days back on eBay. That is the strategy guide to Majora's Mask. So it will go perfect edition with Ocarina of Time. But I am glad recently when I came across this at actually a local retro game thing that was going on back several months ago. This was a nice thing I came across. Next up is the strategy guide to The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, which you hear music in the background from. And yes, this was actually a Toys R Us exclusive version. Not as great condition as some of the others like Ocarina of Time, but still pretty cool. This, of course, this is the GameCube version strategy guide. Of course, as it says, Premium Edition to Twilight Princess, which is good since I do have the GameCube version of the game. But honestly, it's nice, really, just to appreciate the art and everything in the book. That's one of the things I like about strategy guides sometimes. Just going through and appreciating some of the art design and everything that went into the strategy guide. Next up, just so you know, the good majority of my strategy guides are predominantly Final Fantasy related, just so you know. First up, Final Fantasy VII. And looking at this strategy guide actually does take me down memory lane. This is one of my oldest strategy guides, because I've had this probably, give or take, I've had this specific strategy guide since probably around 2000, what, 2001, 2002, when I picked this up when it was on clearance at Babbage's at that time before it was bought out by GameStop. Next up, one of the more recent ones I picked up, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Strategy Guide. Now this one I picked up a few years back, actually, from a former retro game store that used to be around here. Unfortunately closed its doors several back sometime last year. But I picked this up there, found it actually pretty good price range. I was surprised. And even though it's been a little, for the most part, it's actually still in really good shape overall. And I just love the fact, like, it really does give a lot of info on a lot of the maps and things, if you're needing to know. Same thing with, like, the classic Final Fantasy strategy guides. The old designs I kind of miss. So much more simplistic. Next up, we have probably a strategy guide's the one I've had the longest, since I originally picked up my copy of Final Fantasy VIII. And yes, you see that right. This was an exclusive version from Electronics Boutique EB before it was bought out by GameStop. And I love this strategy guide. And it's sort of like, I guess you could say this is sort of like a thing from gaming history, having the old classic EB logo. And I do kind of miss Electronics Boutique. But yeah, this one has some wear and tear from over the years. But still, it has a lot of charm. And I kind of miss that about a lot of strategy guides from the past. Yeah, this one is somewhat more basic, but still, it does have very useful information on some of the bosses and things. And you do get a lot of good statistics and things. Plus even the basic world map. Next up, Final Fantasy X Strategy Guide. Yes, I know technically I'm skipping one, my bad. But yeah, this is of course a classic style strategy guide from the past. I actually really love the whole art design on this one. Someday in the future, I need to try to start collecting the Kingdom Hearts strategy guides. Right now, it's specifically focusing more on Final Fantasy strategy guides and Legend of Zelda. But yeah, Final Fantasy IX Classic Strategy Guide. Next up, we have probably about one of the thickest strategy guides, Final Fantasy XII, which to be fair is a massive game, so it's no surprise. That's a really big, really heavy strategy guide. I'd say this weighs probably a good 5 pounds. One thing that really stood out about Final Fantasy XII to me is just how massive the world map is. And if you look at some of the designs in 12, you can see a lot of influences that played art-wise in Kingdom Hearts, obviously. Next up, we have, and this is the last of the strategy guides, Yes, it took me a while, but I finally managed to get all three Final Fantasy 13 strategy guides. But yeah, it took quite a while to actually get them. And I will say, I'm actually surprised that some of these strategy guides are pricey. Especially Lightning Returns was not as cheap as I was expecting. But then again, to be fair, all of these are still in mint condition, so I guess it's not too surprising they were a little pricier. Plus, given they were more recent games. But I'll get ready to cut this video. I just thought I would share a little bit memory lane and some of the strategy guides I've collected. And as I said before, in the near future I will have Majora's Mask strategy guide in my collection. Eventually, hopefully I can get Breath of the Wild also, and of course Link to the Past. On the Final Fantasy side, hopefully eventually get Final Fantasy 15 if I can find a reasonable price on one. But anyways, I'll see everyone next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.